Aloha, hoi, moin, and hi. Welcome back to another ASMR video. Today, we have another Lego set. I got 5 Minecraft Lego sets out of a little 5 bundle at Walmart, obviously not sponsored. Today, the set we'll be making is set 21252, the Armory. Now last time I talked quite a bit about these player created sets, or sets where what's in it isn't actually naturally occurring. This is in itself a player build. Now, I think everyone has done something like this in their time in Minecraft, building a nice little armory for everything, even if you rarely ever use it. I had one that was in a hidden base in one of my worlds. Had 2 layers to it, a secret trapdoor and a hidden target that would itself open the real door to the armory. Now, for this set in particular, it is a little bit bigger than my last one, so it may take a little more time to build. However, if you're watching ASMR, you likely have a little bit of time to kill. Now, we have to open this, of course. Now, whenever you're using a knife, obviously, you have to be very careful. And this time, I'm hoping that I do not damage the box like I did last time. Of course, this set's not worth too much and likely will never be worth a whole lot. However, it's always nice to have that extra bit of care when opening boxes, because you never know when something might become rarer, or even if there's just the right person looking for it. I certainly regret throwing away a lot of my older Minecraft sets from when I was a child. Ooh. Sorry, that was a bit loud. Now, some quick tapping just before we discard the box for now. Now, this set is interesting. This is one of the first sets I've ever built that has a paper bag as the container for the pieces. Typically it's plastic, which is awful for the environment, but much cheaper. Sounds very nice to me. I hope it sounds just as nice to you. Now comes the struggle of tearing this without making too loud of a sound. Oof. I hope I did well. we should have. And thankfully, this was bag number 1. Bag number 1. Last set was much smaller, so there were no numbered bags. Just open everything at the start and then build. I typically like to open these smaller ones and fish through them for the small pieces whenever I need them. However, since these bags are not clear, I do not have the privilege of doing that this time. Now, we are starting with building our little player character. That is the wrong head. Now, last time I made quite a few mistakes with building the minifigures. I'm hoping I make slightly less, unless it is entertaining to watch. Nice. Beautiful. Got our little man here. He has a diamond sword held incredibly strangely for some reason. If I can get it into his hand, that would be quite nice. However, it's not wanting to cooperate. Now, this is not the right piece. We are making a shield that has a banner pattern onto it. This was something added. I can't tell. I don't remember how recently it was added, but I remember it was a feature I had wanted in the game for a very long time. And now it is actually in the game. Probably has been for quite some time. However, it would seem I cannot find this little banner pattern for some reason. Let us... I may just cut this out. Right here, I am blind. This is... probably was hard to watch. I'm very sorry about that, folks. I still do not have very good anything. My eyes are terrible. And so is my brain. Okay, now we are building Alex. Sadly, it is currently off screen because the table I have to build this on is incredibly small. However, this build is fairly simple. It just has a helmet and a trident, which is apparently enchanted with either channeling Riptide, or there's another one, Loyalty, I believe. I do not use tridents very often, as they are typically... Oh, she also has a shield. Oh no. I'm very, very sorry. Oh. Thankfully, this time I found the piece quite fast, so you are not stuck watching me for another few hours just trying to find a shield. There we go. That is both our little players. Now time to make, seems to be an anvil, which was added when I was fairly young, I believe. One of the earlier updates, but thankfully, anvils are very, very useful. Unlike tridents, which I have not gotten too much use out of, I use anvils constantly. You can use them to apply enchanted books onto certain weapons and tools and armor, and you can use them to rename items. Both are incredibly useful features. Now, this, I could not tell you what this is, but it is what I am supposed to make. Looks like a little table, but not a crafting table. Now, we are making 2 of these little armors. Let's see if I can... Sorry if that's not the most pleasant sound. There we go. Fit everything onto frame. Should have done that from the beginning. However, I'm still learning. Every day I'm improving just a little bit better. Ooh. In the first video, I did a lot of base plate scratching. However, I didn't think that the backside of the base plates, or underside, would sound this incredible. Perfect. Now, for the next step, I'm supposed to place these. I assume these are meant to mostly be decorative. Could be stone, likely is stone. However, this is glazed terracotta. Now, I've done this wrong. I apologize for wasting your time here. This is very embarrassing, honestly. It seems I have a moment like this in every video. Now, I am a little confused on why this set does not provide a brick separator, and if it does, I did not see it. I can't tell if mine was left out, or if simply they just don't include it in this set, which I suppose is fair. Can't have one every single set, or else you'd be wasting money, and everyone would have about 1,500. I know. Now, I don't quite know what color of glazed terracotta this is. It could either be cyan or white, potentially gray. Those are the 3 main colors on the terracotta piece here. However, I personally do not well know the differences in glazed terracotta, as I very rarely ever use terracotta as a building material, as I typically play survival. I'm not the most creative of builders when it comes to Minecraft. However, terracotta, I remember when it was introduced in a quite early patch with, I believe, mesa biomes, and my greatest memory of when they were introduced was all the way back when Minecraft Legacy, I believe it was called, was still around. It was mainly what I used to play back then. Very smooth. Not the best for sounds, personally. However, I used to play Legacy Edition growing up. That was when they had the tutorial islands. And I remember one version of the tutorial The one where terracotta was introduced had a little island with, I believe, a tower or a castle built on top. And this little castle tower was, the base was comprised entirely of terracotta. And that is my only memory with terracotta, seeing as it is not a very interesting block. Sorry about that. However, it is still very nice to have another fully colored block outside of wool. And before concrete was introduced, it was very likely the best option. I used the wrong color here. You can tell I'm barely paying attention to the instructions. However, it was probably the main colored block outside of wool at the time. And at the time, wool wasn't a very useful colored block, seeing as it had a very annoying pattern on it. Oh, uh-oh, dropped some of the torch stands, these sticks. However, wool's little texture is kind of ugly for most builds, so it's not most people's first choice when you are building something that requires a colored block. For me, concrete is the first choice outside of survival, as farming it is incredibly annoying. However, if you are very late game, I suppose concrete is still a good choice. It just is still quite annoying to rehydrate all of it. Now, I am shockingly building this one seemingly faster than the last, despite the mistakes. I just looked at the time, and no, I am not. I am very sorry for lying to all of you. I lost one. This is, again, not my greatest showing of mental capability. I promise I am not this discordant in real life. I am, but I like to think I'm not. So, I'm very sorry for lying to you. I very much am. Anyhow, time to go to the next step, which is to take a 2x4 and add 2 little snot plates, I believe they're called, onto top of it. And it is very nice looking, I will say. Having anything that is just mostly smooth with just little perforations to break up the overall shape. There are a lot of builds that just go for a fully smooth look, and I do quite like those as well. However, this one seems to go for mostly smooth with certain objects breaking up the shape, which most LEGO creators will tell you is the best way to make a set. And I can understand it, but I don't fully agree. A fully smooth wall doesn't look very nice, but there are certain sets where making something fully smooth on top adds to the look of it. It's essentially what makes it look correct, which the LEGO Atari and most likely the other consoles, that's the technique they typically employ, and it's something I quite like about them. They do look incredibly nice to me. Now, this is a technique you do not see very often, using the little snot plates to create a different connection, which creates a kind of archway effect. Looks like pillars almost, which for accuracy in Minecraft, it is hard to tell how accurate that would be, as it could be done with stairs, so I suppose it remains a decent little representation of how it would look in-game. I remember quite a while ago, there was a video of someone recreating all of the Minecraft sets in-game, and I believe most sets had a different or very unique scale to them. It's very hard to tell if any of the Minecraft sets could be fully recreated in Minecraft, but the best you could do is try and make it look at least similar to how it would look in Minecraft. Sorry for saying Minecraft so many times in a row there, but I've tried to make my own sets in the past. Tried to make my own sets in the past, and the scale is really what made it difficult for me, seeing as the scale of these is never quite one-to-one with the game. Now, oh yes, there is a second bag. I thought this was the end of the build already. However, no. We have these little extra pieces. Dropped one. Don't know how nice that sound is. Probably not very interesting. Now, it's time we move on to bag 2. It's upside down. I think these little bags provide much nicer sounds in general. Maybe not that one, but typically these bags have nicer sounds compared to the plastic ones. Seems to be quite a few pieces stuck in here. Very interesting triggers coming from the large bag. Now, just as a little treat for being patient with me, you get some triggers out of the little bag as well. I don't think the sounds on that one were quite as nice as on the first one, but it's still quite nice. It's relaxing, I would say. The kind of stuff I would listen to personally. I typically prefer fast and aggressive ASMR, however, I believe it's much nicer for fast and aggressive ASMR if you can see the person doing it, and I'm not quite at that point. I am sadly still a bit camera shy when it comes to this, but I think I might show my face eventually. It might just take quite a while for me to do so. I mean, if you would like to see it one day, I'd gladly do it if there's enough demand, but Sorry about that. But currently, I don't believe there would be many people who are very interested in seeing under the hood of this channel, especially seeing as there is not a whole lot, not many videos currently, not many people watching yet. Trying to manifest my own success. Just hope someone eventually sees this, and it gives them the same kind of relaxation that ASMR can give to me, or inspires them to do something. Seeing as I was very inspired watching some of my favorite ASMR artists, like a much more calm ASMR artist I've been watching recently has been ASMRtica, if that's how you say it. He is a channel I've been watching for, well, not very long. I've just been watching him recently. However, this channel is dedicated mostly to map making, calligraphy, potentially, and runes. He's made a lot of videos on history in general, the history of certain languages and writings. He's made a lot of map videos, which I never had much of an interest in mapping. However, watching him make them is a completely different story, and listening to him talk about the areas he's mapping is also incredible. He just brings such a nice, calm energy that I haven't been able to find with any other ASMR artist. And he, in part, was one of my biggest inspirations for starting my channel. And if you somehow found this and are not currently watching, well, obviously at the moment you're watching me and not him, but after this video, if you're looking for another video to watch, try his channel, ASMRtica. I will potentially link it down below. I'm not entirely sure if I can do that. I would hope that it doesn't alert him if I leave a link to his channel. So I will look into that before posting, and I will have a link to his channel if it would not alert him that I've done so, because I would not want to bother him with an alert that someone posted about him, and it's just a small YouTuber giving him a shout out, which he most likely does not need me to be the one telling people to go to his channel, seeing as he is certainly much larger than me. But still, it's mostly beside the point, I guess. If you haven't gone and watched him, go watch him as soon as you're done with this video. I mean, if you aren't really enjoying your time, then, well, I was going to say you can go watch him, but if you're not enjoying your time, I struggle to understand why you'd still be here watching me and listening to me ramble about other ASMR artists. But if you truly have not fully enjoyed your time here, then you are well within your rights to go watch him, seeing as his ASMR is much calmer, much nicer, the sound quality is better, and I'm not just trying to downplay my own efforts here. I just believe he is an incredible ASMR artist, and he's very deserving of your time. My voice is starting to get a little bit hoarse from talking so much. I'm not very used to talking this much without breaks. Could be why my voice does not sound the best, but I think it's fine. My voice doesn't have to be the most soothing and beautiful to be nice to listen to. Sometimes it can just be enough to hear someone talk about something they're interested in. That's some of my favorite ASMR. It's just someone doing something they enjoy. It's people being happy. Now, I don't have too many recommendations for that little genre, I suppose, as a lot of ASMR I listen to doesn't seem unhappy per se, but it doesn't quite give off the feeling of, oh, this person loves what they do. This is the best part of their day, which is understandable, honestly. Just people getting lost with making ASMR, or lost in the way of losing themselves to the video, just having fun with it. It's something you don't typically see very much with content creation nowadays. Then again, I don't watch too many live streams, so perhaps the editing takes a bit of the joy out of it, for lack of better words. I believe there's a saying in French. I don't know much French, but the best I can remember is au chevet de vie. That's probably incredibly wrong, but it essentially means joy of living. Just happiness to exist. Being a generally positive person. Something I have some experience in. I'm not a negative person, I'd say, but certainly not the most joyous to be around. Not a very excitable person, that's for sure. But I hope I'm at least interesting enough for this video to be watchable still, as you certainly would need to get some kind of enjoyment out of hearing my voice for this. Perhaps next, I'll just make a video of purely triggers. I should not put that on there yet until I've seen the instructions. Now the instructions are telling me to do it. See how that works? I messed up. Believe these were supposed to go on, and I missed that step, and I broke it. Okay, now we put this on, as the instructions are telling us, and cover up the little holes here with a 1x2 brick, and then top it with yet another snot plate. This one I do not believe will have anything placed upon it. However, this one seems like, oh, that's the end. I believe I could have missed a step somewhere, seeing as I did miss a step, seeing as I have an extra piece. Though, where this one goes, I could not tell you. Perhaps it's on the bottom of this. It is on the bottom of this. I assume this is a cauldron. This would be a wood cutter, stone cutter? I believe it's a stone cutter. A furnace. A double chest. 2 armor stands. A anvil. And I still have no idea what this little table is. However, it's time to set these up as it wants you to in the picture. It should be the furnace and the cauldron filled with lava right next to it. Then on this side would be the stonecutter. In front will be the anvil. Then to this side would be the table-like structure. Then on this side, I do not believe I'm supposed to put both armor stands here. However, I am not the biggest fan of having pieces that are separate from the build entirely. So, the armor stands and the chest will all go onto this side. Now, I think that just looks quite nice. I would have loved to put the chest in this little divot here. However, the little rungs, the grabs, I don't know what they're called, they prevent me from doing so. And Alex here will be over here working, and this little mystery figure will be on the portal. Now, this is the set. I think it's a quite nice looking set. We have the little armor stands here with the chest, a nice little nether portal with a play feature. Then the minifigures look quite nice as well. And over here we have the little workstation with Alex diligently at work. And of course, we have the instruction booklet. And I believe that that will be the end of our little video here, which means I just have one more thing to say to you, and that would be, Dewey, hey, servus, and goodbye.